Jose Monkey. Where am I?
You asked me to figure out where this video was recorded, so I did. Hi, I'm Jose Monkey, and I find people who ask to be found. This video looked super hard at first, but it actually ended up being a pretty fast find. In fact, there's one clue here that literally tells you exactly where this is. So what can we see? The video begins with this person asking to be found. The person's hoodie gives us some potential clues right away. Other than the fact that this person's name is probably Kevin, which isn't all that helpful, we can also see that it says Robert's Towing, which might be helpful. Behind Kevin, we see a very large truck here, and we can see a license plate on the front of the truck. I'll come back to that in a minute. Kevin turns the camera and shows us a snowy road and some trees. Next we get this view of the truck, and we can see that there's some writing on the door. I couldn't quite make out what it said, but one thing I noticed is that it didn't appear to say Robert's Towing, so I made a note of that. And then right at the end of the video they show us something else. They turn the camera and show us that on the side of the road here there's a large round object. I thought it looked kind of like a drum and a drumstick, but I wasn't really sure what I was looking at. But I figured it was a pretty significant clue. Okay, so if you're already typing in the comments that you used Google Lens or that Samsung Circle thing to take that last image and find this place, then you should pat yourself on the back for finding this on easy mode. Great job! Okay, let's find this without doing that. So there are lots of companies out there called Robert's Towing, but it didn't take too long to find one that looked like it might be a match. The company that I found was located in British Columbia, and their website said that they were based in Chetwynd and served the surrounding areas. That seemed like it could be plausible, but the fact that the truck maybe wasn't a Robert's Towing truck gave me pause. Also, I still hadn't even looked at that license plate yet. When I did, it took me a minute to realize what I was looking at. I'm very used to seeing rectangular license plates, and that's what I assumed this was at first. And it took me a moment to realize that the dark shapes that we're seeing on the edges of this plate are actually the edges of the plate itself. This isn't a rectangle, it's a polar bear. This is a license plate for Canada's Northwest Territories. Okay, so maybe we're a bit farther north than British Columbia. According to Wikipedia, the Northwest Territories is the second largest and most populous of the 3 territories in northern Canada. It has a land area of like 1.1 million square kilometers. That's like over 442,000 square miles. So this territory is kind of a big place. For comparison, here's the territory as compared to the continental United States, and compared to the state of Texas. And if those comparisons aren't very meaningful to you, perhaps it will help you to know that this territory is roughly the size of the country of South Africa. Okay, so we're talking about a pretty vast area that doesn't have very good street view coverage or good satellite imagery. But I still hadn't looked at that last clue. The one that Chad used to find this right away using Google Lens. Bruh, stop. Like I said, this looked kind of like a drum to me. So I just searched for like round drum near highway in Northwest Territories. And I got all sorts of results immediately that looked right. I learned that this sculpture, which is in fact a drum, was installed just a few years ago, 37 kilometers outside of Fort Good Hope on the winter road to Colville Lake. This sculpture marks the geographical edge of the Arctic Circle. And as I looked through the articles that I found, it was clear that this image matches our video exactly. Guys, that was it. You were here on the winter road to Colville Lake, in the Satu region of the Northwest Territories, in Canada. Okay, so this was obviously the right place, but I was having trouble figuring out exactly where to put the pin in the map. At first I thought I'd just be able to look at the satellite view and see the sculpture there, but the satellite imagery is really low quality here. And like I said, there's no street view. I thought maybe I could just look at where the Arctic Circle crosses this particular road, and I was about to do that when I noticed something else. If you look at this image of the drum sculpture, you can see that there's writing on the side of it, and that writing tells us the exact latitude and longitude coordinates where this is. So I think that's the spot. And in case you're wondering, no, you cannot see that writing in the video. After I found this place, I went off on a quick side quest to try to figure out whose tow truck that was. And now that I had an idea where to look, it wasn't too hard to figure out. That truck belongs to PR Contracting in Fort Simpson. So like I said, this ended up being a pretty fast find. But I will point out that if this person had driven a mile down the road in either direction where I couldn't see this sculpture, it would have been almost impossible. I suspect I wouldn't have found it. Okay, it's time to check which previous location is closest to this one. And this time it is one of the very few indoor locations that I have found, in lightning round number 6, in Fort St. John in British Columbia, Canada. That's a little more than 1,200 kilometers away from this place, or about 747 miles. Have you guys noticed recently that many of the closest previous locations are from lightning rounds? It's so weird. If anybody else wants me to find them, record a video where you say, "Find me, Jose Monkey," or something like that on camera, or hold up a sign that says something similar. And don't forget to tag me in a comment on that video.